Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, early evening here on the East Coast, September 13th, 2023. That means it's time for Material Issues. I'm Mark Hershberger of Pop Detective Records, joining me not from Southern California this afternoon, but he's down in Arlington, Texas, where IPO Arlington will be taking place this weekend, International Pop Overthrow. My very good friend and co-host, Mr. David Bash. David, how are you this late afternoon in Texas?
Very tired, Mark. I flew in this morning from California. I got about 2.5 hours sleep. And of course, I had stuff to do once I got here, for the most part, going to some record stores because they don't wait. The record stores wait for no one. And as Wade Garrett said in Roadhouse, I'll get all the sleep I need when I'm dead. So.
It's a good way.
And then, of course, he died in a few scenes later.
Right, a few scenes later, he was dead.
Yeah. So I guess he got what he said he was.
We got someone checking in, listening close by.
That would be Dave Boogeyman.
Dave the Boogeyman in
Radio
Arlington,
New York
Texas.
International, one of our guests.
Radio New York International joining us live.
Ago. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, he's sitting in the other room, actually.
Nice, Dave.
And he's down here in Arlington as well, because International Pop Overthrow Arlington, our third year, will be starting tomorrow and going through Saturday at Black Box 215, a great venue, which is run by the same man who runs Spider Pop Records, Mr. Alan Pecci. And hey, Barry. And, all of us owe him a great debt of gratitude. He's been so good to so many people. Mm-hmm. And Spider Pop's an awesome label. And, so they're sponsoring us. And I'm staying at Alan's spare home, if you will, called The Cove. Nice. It's got several bedrooms. Several bedrooms, a recording studio, the whole shebang. And He puts people up here, and it's very gracious of him. And so that's where I'm broadcasting from. And so, we're looking forward to it. 15 great acts from Arlington, Dallas area and beyond.
Nice.
Somebody saying hello, man. Not sure who it is, but hello. Oh, okay. Well, since I got a new one, little watch check for you. As you may remember, Aragon is one of the watch companies that I truly love. This is a new one. It's an Aragon diver with a pink salmon dial. And the cool thing is, depending upon the angle that you're seeing it at, it's either pink or salmon. I can't do it justice, but it's a beautiful color, and it's a good size, 43 millimeters. And the best thing about Aragon is their watches are really inexpensive. This one's under $200. It's about, in fact, with the deal I got, is about $120. So $120 for a nice looking watch like this.
It's very nice. Yeah, very nice. Reasonable.
I definitely recommend that if you're trying to get into watches, but you're afraid it's too expensive, start with Aragon. They have some really great models for under $200. So anyway.
Alan checking in. Thank you, Tim. Very nice. Very nice.
So, so we've dispensed with the superfluous stuff. God, I'm really
the new teeth
here. It's not the teeth. It's the lack of sleep. My usual sharp wit is gonna be non-existent today, I think, too.
You'll be fine. You always
I'm waiting for somebody to say like it is every day. Yeah, I know. But anyway, we've got a very special guest for episode 120 of Material Issues, and those of us who are in our age group will never forget some of the songs that this gentleman has recorded, his big hits, Spiders and Snakes, Wildwood Weed, My Girl Bill, and other tunes that he recorded and released, not to mention, of course, his summer replacement variety show.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
And somebody said, like it is every day. Yeah, I already beat you to it. That's a gratuitous insult, sir. Anyway, and he's also acted, and so he was in Every Which Way You Can with Clint Eastwood, and The Gemini Man with David McCallum. And he's owned or did own a theater in Branson, Missouri, the most famous group of theaters in the world.
Yes,
we co-owned that for several years, and yeah, he's still going strong. And
he's got performances coming up in Branson in October. We're going to talk about that. It's going to be fantastic.
So we're really honored to have him. We really are. So without further ado, would you please give a huge Material Issues welcome to Mr. Jim Stafford.
Oh, there I am. Hello, guys.
There he is.
All right, I'm gonna. You dared me. I'm gonna do it. You're our guest, Jim. Our guest, Jim.
Okay.
Can't say enough about the way I feel about our guest, Jim.
There you go.
I like the way you rhymed it out.
Well, of course. Well, the first time, like a lot of people, the first time I heard that song,
you got it. You did.
My mouth was agape because I didn't expect a punchline. None of us did. And,
how you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing fantastic.
I have to agree.
Yeah. How are you feeling, my friend? You look great. You're
I
still
feel
doing
great.
Your thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel fine. I'm
that's wonderful.
Enjoying Florida. I've moved back to my home state, and so I'm enjoying my time in Florida. And I still go out and do dates.
Yes.
And it's working out for me.
Wonderful.
That's great.
I'm not interested in the schedule I used to have, so I'm a little more grounded right through here. It's a little easier,
Does it
your
make
wife Kelly's helped ground you?
Oh, Kelly, yeah. Kelly's grounded me and most of the neighbors. Yeah, she said she gets you on the right track quickly.
Well, she was a fantastic help to me in setting this all up, so I greatly appreciate it.
I don't know what I'd do without her. I wouldn't do anything without her. I couldn't do it. She's a great help to me, and she's in every way you can imagine. She's just a wonderful woman, bright as all get out, and good looking.
Super nice, yeah. Well, number one, super nice lady in helping me out. And David did mention he's got a very attractive wife, and I said, yes, indeed. So that's wonderful. She's been a great help. But before we get into kind of like your history, the one question you brought up right there, that you still get out and play, but not nearly the schedule that you used to have. Does it make it any different for you as far as appreciating the moment a little more because you don't play as much, but when the times that you do, it's a bigger deal?
Well, when you don't play quite as, when your schedule is a little lighter, if I had my druthers back in the day, I really liked to play pretty much every day of my life.
Wow.
So I would just have them book me up, and they would go, wait, this is a little much, isn't it? I would say, no, it's perfect. Just book me and let's go. So I did that for years, and it was a lot of fun. I played everywhere. And I played with everybody too. I was very grateful for the people that I got to be around. The first person that I opened the show for, the very first time I went out on the road, was Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, no way.
Really?
I opened the show for Bruce Springsteen. That was the first one, I got in a deal with bookers, and off I went.
Wow.
And, I was pretty impressed with those bookers when I got there and Bruce Springsteen was there. I can tell you that much, guys. I think this might work.
What did you think of him as an artist?
I thought he was fine. I thought he was just fine. I've always thought that he was just a really fine combination of a singer-songwriter. He's just a wonderful talent. That's all.
Yeah,
really wonderful.
Yeah, he has it. Yeah, and you can
people that don't like anybody else like him.
True enough.
there it is. It's just he's amazing.
Well, when we get to a certain point with our questions, I do want to talk about some of the people that you've played with and been around, which has been absolutely amazing. But if you could rewind a little bit, we'd like to kind of go back to the beginning. And you were born and raised in Winter Haven, Florida. And
actually, yeah. Now, I don't want to correct you on the air or anything.
That's fine. No,
I actually was raised in a little town adjacent to Winter Haven called Eloise.
Oh, Eloise. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And but it doesn't matter to me if you say if we do Winter Haven. I mean, nobody's going to be upset about it.
Now, knowing that you were self-taught on guitar and fiddle and piano, banjo, organ, harmonic, all kinds of things, early on, did you come from a musical family, or what sparked your interest in really starting to learn music, self-taught?
Well, my dad played guitar. Didn't play out anywhere. They played around the house. And what really happened to me was that I had a friend named Louis Wayne Simmons who became a pretty good songwriter. And so his brother came back from Germany with this beautiful bright red guitar. And it was an acoustic guitar, and my dad had an acoustic guitar. And so it was, I don't know who suggested it first, but the two of us got together. He had his brother's guitar, I had my dad's guitar, and away we went. And we just went from there. And he became a decent songwriter, and I did my little deal. And so it was, it's one of those things where you just count your blessings. It's like a windfall or something to go out there and stay out there a while.
And you had.
I would imagine that Elvis must have had a profound effect on you because you were about that age when he came to be, right?
Yes, yeah. I discovered Elvis with everybody. I was a kid at the time, but of course, all the schools, they had little Elvises all over the place with their guitars. I still remember how many people were Elvising, everybody.
Elvising.
If you think back on it, this guy was about as popular as anybody can get.
Yeah.
Elvis was.
Yeah.
And to maintain his position among the stars as long as he did is unbelievable.
Well, especially when you look at the artists of the day around him that were also pretty big, but nowhere near the level of Elvis. And I think you probably had some influence on you as far as Carl Perkins and Johnny Cash and Johnny Burnett and Hayden Thompson, all those guys that were in and around Elvis that were doing, especially Johnny Cash in your style, which very much is a storytelling style, had to have some influence on you in your young songwriting.
Yeah, I didn't trust my singing voice. I didn't trust it, and so I was uncomfortable about. I never. To this day, I don't consider myself a singer. Mm-hmm. I mean, my girl Bill, that's me singing.
That's all you needed, though.
There it is. So I worked real hard. I come up through these little Holiday Inn lounges and stuff. When I was a kid, I'd get jobs in them. Not a kid, I was probably 15, 16, 18, 17, somewhere around in there. And so I'd have a good workout every night because the tourists would be in, this is Florida, the Winter Haven, Florida. And so there's tourists all over the place. And so I'd get fresh audiences. Mm-hmm. And if you're trying stuff, you can't ask for more than getting a fresh audience because you can try the same thing you tried the night before. They don't even know it. So it's kind of fun. But that's how I got started. And then somebody would, offer me a job out on the beach, or one of those kind of things, one of the little places like that. And so I played a lot of those. and I got a call from a schoolmate named Kent Lavoie.
Oh yeah.
And Kent Lavoie recorded as Lobo, as you know.
Yep.
And he said to me, my producer wants me to produce him. He thinks I'm ready to produce. So I thought I'd call you and see if you got anything. And you know, I don't have to tell either one of you guys what that answer is it? If you got nothing, what do you say?
I got plenty.
I can record tomorrow.
Yeah, I can record tomorrow.
Let's go tomorrow. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But then you start gathering all your stuff up, you know, and trying to get it all. Oh, maybe this one, maybe that one. You finish some songs pretty quick that night. But
and even early on,
the meeting with Lobo went very well, and he was an old friend of mine anyhow from high school, and then his producer was quite a good producer, Phil Gernhardt, and so he was in on this thing too, and so we had some good fortune. It went well, and I was able to pick up a summer series on ABC, and that helped. And then along the way, you just get something here and something there, you know.
And I really wanted to ask you about this for a while because it's a really, really uncommon circumstance. You were in a high school band, as far as I know, with Lobo and with Graham Parsons.
That's right.
First of all, to have a band, and the Legends was a band, and you guys never really made it, but that band spawned not only 2 top 10 hit makers, but one of the most famous country rock artists. They give Graham Parsons actually a lot of credit in inventing country rock. To think that you three were in that band is really remarkable.
Well, we were. I went over a few different times during the time that I knew Graham, and back then it was no big deal. I'd go over and we'd spend the night, you know, and shoot the shit all night long, and raise hell and carry on. And I remember Graham, just even as young as he was, and I think when I was about 16, he might have been about 14, something like that. And he was just completely obsessed. I mean, he knew just what he wanted, and he was just. And this guy would write something every day.
Wow.
You know, he'd meet a new girl, he'd go write her a song. And one thing you got to say about Graham Parsons, he worked at what he did, and he worked at that when he was in high school. He was working, you know, really working on songs, and I mean, even way back then, you had to admire the guy because you could tell that he was serious about this stuff. The rest of us were goofing around, and this guy was, let's go. You know, he was ready to do it.
Now, early on, I was going to say, first of all, we got a nice comment coming in from someone said her late mother loved Jim Stafford. Every time I found one of his albums, I'd buy it for her. I also had a girlfriend who used to sing Spiders and Snakes to me. It was delightful.
Oh,
wonderful. Nice
sweet.
comment. Early
nice.
on, though, Jim, when you started writing your own material, was it really story based and almost a comedy based was your thing, or why did that evolve from you in that way?
Yeah, well, I started listening to a lot of people. I'm trying to think of who all it was. I know I had a Jonathan Winters album. I had albums from. I'm trying to think of the brother Dave Gardner. You may not remember him.
Yep.
You do?
Yep.
Yeah. Just anybody that did comedy, I would try to get an album, and I was just a kid, but I wasn't worried about getting permission or anything. You know, I was just trying to get jokes and be a performer. Because what I did is I learned to play the guitar pretty good. And so I just went to a Holiday Inn and said, I'm here, but I got my guitar. Can I play something for you guys? And I played something. They liked it. And I said, I'd be happy to come back tonight and play. If you have a certain kind of time you'd like for me to do, you know, somebody said like 7 till 9 or something. And so the day I went in, I came back that night and I had a job.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's how it happened back then. Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of, I was pretty busy all the time. I'm very grateful for that whole period of my life where I was working hard at what I was doing, but I was lucky enough to get in these little joints, little lounges and things, where you could actually talk to people and try things out. And that's
I was going to say it probably was very much what influenced your style is that you were in these lounges and you were talking to these people. It was your show is very conversational. I've watched a lot of things on YouTube where you're just enjoying the repartee with the crowd, and as you get into everything, and that's got it. You've probably honed that all from those type of situations, and that's what made you so darn good at it. And it just kind of rolls. Yeah.
Well, you said it for anybody. You said it. That is, if you're lucky enough to get to do this stuff often enough. That's the thing. If you get in a position, like I got in positions where I would do a 5-nighter or even a 6-nighter. So with 1 day off or 2 days off. So I always opted for the 6-night deal. So I just have 1 night off, but that was plenty for me. I wanted to work. I loved working. And so I'm one of these people that I don't even know. I don't know if I'm a large talent or a small talent, but I do know that I put some time in with this stuff. I really put the time in.
The Graham Parsons work ethic rubbed off on you.
Yeah, indeed.
Graham was obsessed. This boy was obsessed. He really, he thought about it all the time. He thought about writing. He thought about singing. He thought about all the stuff involved,
Right.
And he was a kid doing all that stuff. When I knew him when he was just in high school, and he's working, we're going to go on the road. No, we're not going to go on the road. So we'd go to the next town over,
Yeah.
That was our road work.
That was the road work.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we were on the road all right. And one night,
Jim, one artist who I think your music resembles a bit. So I'm wondering if he was an influence on you is Jerry Reed.
Jerry Reed is a piece of work, isn't he? Jerry Reed. There was nothing like him before or after. Just singular dude. Had his own style. Could write. This guy could write songs. He could, and I've heard him do monologues where he was just talking. Where he would get up, set his guitar down, and this guy was comfortable just shooting the breeze with an audience. And I'll tell you something else too. You guys all, I know you know this. People loved him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
People loved Jerry Reed.
Yeah.
Did his style rub off on you a little bit? Because he kind of spoke a bit. And he was very funny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I think his style rubbed off on everybody. I think that Jerry, people were going, what the heck is he doing over there anyhow? He had that great guitar picking along with what he was doing. And it was just so in the groove. It was unbelievable. Yeah. What a player. What a combo of a player-singer, Jerry Reed.
Gunther has checked in saying, greetings, Jimbo. Excited to see you in Branson again coming up. He's seen you a dozen times. Taking his daughter coming up. Yep.
That's nice.
Glenn Campbell, 3 natural born entertainers.
Yeah. Well, I feel fortunate to have been around the other 2 that I just saw, Jerry Reed and what was it? Was it Chet or
Glenn Campbell?
Glenn Campbell. Yeah.
Well, Gunther's got tickets already. Gunther's got tickets already at your Shepherd at the Hills. So you'll see Gunther in October. Good job, Gunther. I just want to let everybody know Jim will be in Branson at shepherdofthehills.com is where you can get tickets and find out about the shows. So Gunther's going to be there. Fantastic. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Back in Branson. That's
Branson.
Wonderful. But what was I going to say? Speaking of, we're talking about Lobo producing your first single, which was Swamp Witch, correct?
Right.
Can give me a little insight on that song, because that starts off about as spooky and low of a vocal.
Yeah, I wanted to tell a story. I didn't trust my voice, so I said, well, maybe I can just talk one of these damn things. And so I wrote out the story and said the story to a guitar. Hold on one second. I'm gonna reach over here and get my guitar.
Yep, no worries.
Oh, wow. All right, this is pretty cool.
This is awesome, yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I get myself hooked up again.
Take your
So
time.
anyhow, look at the size of this guitar.
Is that a little parlor guitar? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, a little baby guitar. These have come back.
Yeah.
If they were ever gone. And this one right here is by Cordoba. I show it to people because it's small and comfortable, and the kind of guitar, whether it's that one or not, that's what you want. You don't want something you got to drag around. So I don't have real good advice. Just simple. Get a light guitar.
You don't carry around that synthesizer guitar that you had on the Tonight Show.
Oh man, that was something. Yeah. I got to do that on the Tonight Show.
Tonight Show.
Guitar.
That was really a thrill, boy. And those things didn't catch on much, and
No.
I thought they would have. I thought they would have been a big deal, but you don't see the synthesizer guitars much anymore.
No, not at all.
Didn't kick.
All right, we'll get back. We'll get back to what you grabbed the guitar for. We got off there in a little bit, but
Okay.
Swamp Witch.
Yeah. Now, the Swamp Witch is. I think this comes from here. I'll tell you where I think it comes from. When I was a kid, I was crazy about the Shadow. You remember the Shadow? Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows.
The Shadow
my
knows.
God. And then that awful killer, man. Just killer. If you're a kid, you don't know whether to scream or run or what, it was just wonderful. Radio, guys, I hate to say this. I mean, it's come and gone pretty much, but radio was really something. It really was something. And it forced you to see everything in your head.
Right.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
Indeed. So Swamp Witch was produced by Lobo, and that was out of the gates. I forget what did that hit on the charts? Gave you a little bit of. It hit number 39 in the U.S. So it gave you a taste of.
Casey Kasem did play it.
I was top 40 for about 15 minutes. just nosed into the top 40 and went back down.
Where you can really hear Lobo's production value is in the bridge, because that's when all the strings come in, and it's really pretty.
Thank you. Ken Lavoie was, he's a good guy, and a talented writer.
Oh my God!
A good producer and he's a good friend of mine. We went out playing a lot. One time we were doing a show and I didn't ride with him. I rode with somebody else, and so he comes in, and he was riding with Graham, and they hit a cow. They killed a cow. They didn't mean to, but they did.
Me and you and a cow went FUBU.
Well, there was some cow on the. He had like a Volkswagen van. He had a van.
Van again,
He hit the cow with the van. And
there was cow everywhere.
Hit a cow with the van. But then they made it to the show, and they did the show. Both of them did. After going through that.
With hitting number 39, did that get you out on the road? When you talk about being on the road, were you expanding your horizons because you had a top 40? It's got to get you,
Yeah. Well, I played everywhere I could play. I played, like I said, everything from the Holiday Inns to the bars and lounges, and anywhere I could play. And occasionally I would get a date where I opened for somebody famous. I opened for Tiny Tim and
Oh,
few
wow.
other people when they were out floating around and wanted an opening act. I was able to do that. But I guess what happened was that Spiders and Snakes just clicked, and that was that. And I remember the first time I heard the song was Dave Bellamy's song, and it
From
went
the
like
Bellamy
this.
Brothers, yeah.
Yeah. It went like, I don't like spiders and snakes, and that ain't what it takes to love. And then it'd do this, what it takes to love me, come on, love me, like that. And it reminded me a little bit of the way the guy said, love me on love me do, love me,
Yeah.
come on, love me, But anyhow, so a kid, as it turns out, was a pretty good writer. He wrote Me and You and A Dog Named Boo and a bunch of other songs that were really pretty darn good.
Oh, yeah.
And a great guy, just a real nice man. And so I was lucky to have the people that were trying to help me. I was lucky to have the ones I got. I can tell you that.
And, Justin's checking in from Branson. Is Justin Saltonstall?
Oh, Justin Saltonstall. That is a friend of mine. Yeah.
Best
hey,
boss
Justin,
ever.
How are you?
And Matt Bailey's checking in, saying he co-owns the Guitar Neck Marquee. It used to be on top of your theater, so you know where it's at right now.
Wherever he is, yeah.
Wherever Matt is.
There's the Vincent boy.
Yeah.
And there's Matt Bailey.
Yeah, man, a lot of people checking in.
Kind of
a lot of people checking in. This is fun. They had some people asking some questions here. Gunther wanted to know.
Okay.
He'd love to know who wrote the score to My Girl Bill. It's a beautiful chord structure.
I would guess when we went into the session, I can't think of the guy's name. I'm so sorry about the first session that I went into. I'm sure that's the person that wrote that.
No worries. That's
yeah. In other words, who arranged? I should say arranged it.
Yeah.
Arranged My Girl Bill.
Yeah.
And I didn't do a whole lot on. I didn't have a lot of arrangement ideas. I just tried to get the song right,
Right,
and
yeah.
but I was real. I've said this before, but I was real happy with the people that did know what they were doing. They did a good job. Yeah, I would hear things that I didn't even remember. I said, "Golly," and I think they just knew how to clean it up.
Yeah. Here's a question that we always ask artists from the 70s, because it's always a fascinating story. How did you get your deal with MGM?
I'm sorry. I was adjusting that. Do it again, please.
Now, how did you get your deal with MGM?
I don't know for sure. The guy that was Lobo. Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Lobo was supposed to be producing me, but Phil Gernhardt produced Lobo, and so Phil Gernhardt would wind up in my sessions, and I mean, it was kind of, the three of us kind of a thing. And he was kind of producing both of us. And Lobo brought me in to be the producer, but I think that he was okay with Phil Gernhardt helping with him as well, because he wasn't nearly as experienced as Phil. Phil Gernhardt went all the way back to what is that first song that he had? I can't believe how I'm not going to be able to pull it out of my head. Sorry, guys.
It's all right.
Yeah, lost it. Yeah, I might think of it in a minute.
And just let it fly. If it pops, it pops. It's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do want to go back. So I'm sure we kind of glossed over after Swamp Witch getting into Spiders and Snakes. I mean, obviously that's the song that you're most known for, I would think. And we've talked to some artists from the 60s who are known for maybe one big thing, and they're just very happy that they're known at all, because most of us are not known. And you go the rest of your life with anybody from at that time period, you can sing Spiders and Snakes. It's one of those iconic songs. And right. Bellamy wrote it, but you changed it around a little bit to put you fool and your little touch on it.
It was
But
a little more. I tried to insinuate a story that I remember trying to make it sound like a story, and even though he had a lot of that in it anyhow, it was so I don't really feel like that if I hadn't done anything, it'd still been okay. You never know. Did I help or did I hurt?
But that changed your life massively. I mean, that got you on late night talk shows. I mean, Tonight Show.
Yeah.
It got you into
Right.
television. It's just a lot of
Right.
things that tracked.
A whole lot happened. Yeah, you're exactly right. And I look back on it, and it was just a tremendous adventure, just great. And like you're saying, there was always something up, and I was sometimes I would be in somebody's special, or you just kind of you go out there and you get inside the deal if you can, and see what comes along. And if you've got a good guy working with you, they're going to pull those things around, and send them to you. And so you wind up with a career because somebody knows somebody.
Well, absolutely true. And Spiders and Snakes ended up peaking at number 3 on the top 100,
Yeah.
which is massive. And what was, I mean, when it even started climbing, and it's top 30, it's top 20, it's top 10. What are you going through internally right now as a guy that was playing Holiday Inns and lounges and things, and you did okay with Swamp Witch, but now this thing is now massive. What's that like for Jim Stafford? At what age were you when Spiders and Snakes was climbing?
I think I was 30-ish.
30-ish?
Maybe
Right.
31.
That sounds right.
Somewhere
Yeah.
around there. Yeah, early 30s, I think.
And you had already put in a lot of time and a lot of effort, and now this is paying off. What's that feel like at that moment? Life changing.
Well, I mean, you're right. I did do a lot of time. I played Yankee Doodle and Dixie at the same time on the Ted Mack Amateur Hour.
Wow.
Thank you.
I remember that show, barely.
I sure did.
I was young.
I got to be on the Ted Mack Amateur Hour.
Wow.
I lost, by the way.
Jim, I want to ask you about Wildwood Weed in particular, because I grew up in New York, and the radio station I listened to was WABC, which I'm sure you're aware of. Now, Wildwood Weed was a top 10 hit, but I never heard it on WABC. First time I heard it was on American Top 40 with Casey Kasem. The question I have for you is, given the subject matter, was that song banned on several radio stations?
I honestly don't know. I heard about stuff like that some places were not so sure they wanted to play it. It was early on in that kind of deal, it was kind of a little early on in all this doper stuff and everything. So I think that they were. I think the reason that they got okay with this thing, because I think is because the person that's telling the story is really an innocent.
Yeah.
He's not. They didn't know what he's talking about. He's not he's not a doper. He's not, you're not trying to get everybody loaded.
Right.
You just tell them what happened to him when he was over, he's trying to explain why they found him on the windmill, So
and you went up, you flew up to get him too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, that's right. I had to fly up and get him. I forgot about that.
And then My Girl Bill, what kind of blowback did you get? No pun intended. What kind of blowback did you get from that? Did some of the southern states have a problem with it?
Yeah, glorifying dope, right? And,
no, I was actually talking about My Girl Bill in this.
Oh,
case.
My Girl Bill. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I got in trouble for it too. So that's.
Did some of the southern states southern stations have some issue with that because they didn't really understand what the song was about?
Well, yeah, that it's a yeah, you're right, and that song actually did quite well. It did.
Yeah,
It did well, and
that made number 12. Yeah,
Yeah.
beg pardon.
yeah. It topped off at number 12 on the Hot
Yeah, that's
100.
pretty
So
good.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's fantastic. I
yeah,
mean,
that was pretty good, and it's
did
yeah,
it? I mean, did it?
I think it deliberately heads you in one direction, so the correct direction that was, or not correct direction, but the other direction comes into play. I think it's just one of those things where you try to lead them off in this, and so that they'll have a surprise. You know, that was the idea.
It worked.
Well, you know, you just stick them out there, right? I mean, it ain't like I've had a bazillion hits. I've only had like a 3 or 4, but I'll tell you, every time something scooted up the charts, I was really, really surprised. I should have had more. I guess I should have believed in this stuff a little more. But you know, when you're doing stuff that's a little bit wacky or a little bit crazy, or you got a lot of things that can go wrong, because if you push the comedy too much, they get too tired of it. They've heard it. You know, so there's a lot of stuff. If you're going to try something like that, you're going to always be taking chances, especially if you're going to talk when everybody else is singing. And then you want.
Well, yeah, absolutely true. And there was a period there, early 70s through to the mid 70s, where a lot of that kind of style was really big. It was going on, and you just happened to do it best. But you're sitting there saying, "Well, I had 3 or 4 hits." Well, so many people have made an entire career out of one top 10 hit, and
Yeah.
you did top 10 twice. You had top 20. You've had a wonderful string of hits in that time period,
And your timing was really good, because
your
as Mark
timing was
said,
great.
that was the mid '70s was really rife with
They were
novels.
very good to me on the shows too. I did quite a few Tonight shows and all of that kept it keeps the thing alive a little bit, you know. And
Oh,
I
indeed.
picked up Those Amazing Animals and a couple other little things that helped along the way.
Tell us about Johnny Carson. What are your remembrances of him?
Well, I really liked Johnny Carson. He was very nice to me, and was chatty on commercials, you know, and how's it going, Jim, and blah 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 and all that. So it was all very pleasant, and he invited me out to his home in Malibu, and a couple of times, and I never did go because I just was scared. I didn't know what would I do out there, you know. Hello there, you know.
Well, it's got to be intimidating. It's a little intimidating there. I mean,
we're
Johnny
talking
Carson.
about Johnny freaking Carson, you know.
Yes.
What are you going to say? You know, he's heard everything.
He's heard everything.
That's true.
I knows all the jokes.
And you know,
it was terrifying to me to do that, and but anyhow, I was happy, and also one of the last things that I got to do on that show was I had a chat with Freddie DeCordova, who told me that he was considering me doing some sub work for Johnny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that never happened, but boy, it sure did sound good, though.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what? Johnny was probably going to ask you whenever you came over to his house, and you just never got there.
Maybe.
There you go.
I really was honestly, guys. I really was at wit's end. I thought, I can't go out there and sit around talking to Johnny Carson. I'll run out of something to say. You know, I just know it, and I talked myself out of it. I was scared. You know, I was scared. We're talking about Johnny Carson here.
We're talking Johnny Carson. Well, I like what you when you did a thing in Branson with David Letterman, and you mentioned it was one of the funniest lines. You mentioned something like Winter Haven, Florida. They don't get your show down there, and he goes, "Oh, they don't get it. They watch it. They just don't get it."
Yeah.
And I thought that was the funniest line because even Letterman was speechless for a moment. He was just like, "Good one. You got me."
Oh, man.
But you were also no slouch on guitar. You talk about being self-taught, but you held your own with guys like Roy Clark and Glenn Campbell.
Roy Clark, another very underrated guitarist. Yeah,
very underrated guitarist. Yeah.
Well, I love the guitar, and I play every day, and I'm gonna show you something. Look at this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guitar, but it's a little bitty guitar. But it doesn't look a little bitty until it's kind of starting to look little. There it goes. There it is. Now you can see.
Oh, we lost him.
Yeah. So I love this little thing. This is the latest. Guitar players never quit buying guitars. They never quit. They never quit buying guitars. I never seen one of them that didn't have too many guitars.
Yeah,
that's me.
See, now that's good. You're the first one.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
You just have one guitar.
No.
What kind?
No.
You don't have any guitar.
I've got about 30.
Banjo?
I've got about 30.
A what?
I've got about 30 guitars. Yes.
30 guitars?
Yes. I've way too many. I've got some little ones. I've got some parlors. I've got a brand new. I'll do a little commercial for a brand new. It's called Enya Next G, and it's a wonderful carbon fiber guitar with built-in speaker and effects. Not on the cheapy side, but you can take it anywhere and make a lot of noise with it, which is kind of cool. But
yeah, that's gonna be big.
Yeah, it's but you were sitting there on one of the YouTube things I watched. You talked about Roy Clark and your love of Roy Clark, and you sat there with Glenn Campbell picking away back and forth, and those guys were legendary. But again, you could hold your own, and it's not like many people don't know how good you were as a guitar player and picking away and doing the things that you did. So fantastic to listen to you play. Oh, somebody had a question earlier. I want to make sure I got to it. Triumph said, how did you come up with the shtick of getting your fingers caught in the strings during a high energy solo?
Well, okay. Here's that little guitar I showed you.
Right.
So if you're playing, you just go. So anyhow, this is a little baby guitar. It looks full size on the screen, but it's a little teeny guitar. It doesn't look like it though. It's showing up big. Anyhow,
quarter-book guitars, yes indeed.
So yeah. So there's a lot of things you can do. Let me hold on. I'll show you. Okay, here we go. All right. All that. That's just a beating and banging and carrying on.
That's awesome. Oh, that just made my night.
That'll go a long ways.
Well, just like you teaching everybody that all you got to do is have the E chord, and then just slide it up a little bit, and now it makes a different sound, and slide it up a little bit, now it makes a different sound, and then you went into Malaguena, and that's that whole story and show is fantastic. That's just wonderful. One of my favorites.
Which Roy Clark played on The Odd Couple. Did an amazing job on that.
Roy Clark played
Malaguena on The Odd Couple.
Oh yeah, well, that's another whole deal of Roy Clark. He's he may be. He's probably the best natural guitar player just about I ever heard, and the best showman too.
Yeah,
he's got both of those. He's got both of those awards. He should have.
Yeah,
He could outshow anybody and pretty much outplay him. He's really and a humble man.
Mm-hmm.
I was feel very fortunate to be around him some. And I got to play some back and forth with him a little bit. It was really nice.
I was going to say, of everybody that you've been around, who was one guitarist that really impressed you the most? And obviously, it's going to sound like it was probably Roy Clark.
But actually, it'd be Glenn Campbell.
Glenn Campbell.
Wow.
Yeah. Glenn Campbell could put his guitar away for a year and go pick it up and scare you with it. It was so easy for him. He never touched it. I never saw him just, let's pick one. But when he did pick it up, he would rip it. I couldn't get over it. It was like, how is it so built into somebody that they don't have to think about it? They don't have to practice. They just pick it up and scare you to death. And that's Glenn Campbell. I'm telling you, honestly, I don't think that guy ever picked up a guitar unless he was going to seriously play it somehow.
Wow.
I don't think he just sat around the house ever. I don't think he did. I don't think he did that. I think it was all up there, with him.
And I saw him on his final tour, a farewell tour, when the Alzheimer's was taking over, but he didn't miss a note. The built-in mechanism, whatever it was, he might have forgotten all the lyrics, and he had to have prompters, which is fine. But the licks that he played, muscle memory, amazing.
Yeah, I think he could. He might be the best self-taught guitar player ever.
Yeah.
Because as far as I know, he did teach himself. Nobody, we all learn from each other. So it's hard to say nobody ever showed me anything.
Right.
In some ways, it would seem if you have natural talent, to be self-taught would be the best way because you're not burdened by rules. You just do what works. And I think that worked for him very well.
Yeah. Well, Glenn, any of the time I was around him, and we played some and back and forth and a little bit, not a whole lot, but we did play some. And it was just as clear as a day is long that this guy was magic. When he picked up a guitar, it was all there. And I swear to God, I've never seen anybody quite like it. Roy Clark was a little bit like that. He was a little bit, he can pick it up and go with it. He doesn't have to warm up. He just bam. But Glenn was just astonishing.
Were you familiar with Danny Gatton? Guitar player?
I know who he is, and I've heard him play,
Yeah.
and he's astonishing. He's really fast and clean.
Yeah, amazing things he can do. That's one of my favorite guitarists of all time is Danny Gatton. I saw him a couple times live. It just made me
he
go.
Deserves to be even more popular than he is too.
Well, yeah.
People go, "Oh, Danny Gatton, I've heard of him." But the fact of the matter, if you see Danny Gatton play, you're never going to forget it.
Exactly. Yeah, he does a thing where he plays slide with a beer bottle that's full, and the bottle starts foaming over from all the action he's doing, and it goes all over the guitar. And then he puts the rag around to clean it, and then plays through the rag, clean as can be. The slide, and you sit there and go, "How is this possible?" He does some amazing things with the guitar.
I got to see him live sometime.
Well, no, he's passed on. He's passed.
He did.
Yeah, he sadly took his own life a number of years ago because his career just really didn't go the direction it wanted to go. But I highly recommend checking out on YouTube and
now.
watch some of the YouTube stuff at Danny Gatton. Absolutely amazing. Of course, that's after everybody checks out you at the shepherdofthehills.com. Make sure your Branson shows. There's already people booked for it, but we got to make sure we tell everybody Shepherd of the Hills. Order. Yeah, shepherdofthehills.com, and get out there and see you live. I wanted to ask you also about the variety show. you got to do a 6-week summer replacement variety show.
Yeah.
What was that like? You had a couple of people. You had Valerie Curtin on there. That was Jane Curtin's sister from Saturday Night Live. The wonderful actor Richard Stahl was on there.
Bernadette Peters.
Bernadette Peters was there.
Yeah.
Cindy Wood, Playmate of the Month in 1973. I mean, you got.
I got my old friend Gallagher, his first TV shot
Gallagher
on that show.
Gallagher was rest his soul. What a wonderful performer he was.
Yep.
He was on there as well. But what was that experience like when you get a phone call saying, "We've got this idea and we're going to put you on TV with your own show"? That had to be just.
And did your appearances on Johnny Carson have any bearing on that?
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, sometimes I try to remember exactly what happened when and all of that, you know, because I've had like some other people, I've kind of gone up and gone down and come back up again and down again. so I've had a look along the way when I thought I might be getting in trouble, you know, something would come along. And so I was very fortunate about that. And by the time I was ready to come down to Florida, I was born in Florida, so I wanted to retire down here, and it all just seemed to work out fine.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how about your impressions of Dick Clark? You're on American Bandstand a couple of times. And
I love Dick Clark, and he was really nice to me. And I'll tell you what Dick Clark did. I was doing a show someplace, and Dick was interested in working with me. And he says, "So where are you going to be this weekend?" And I said, "Well, I got to go out and play a couple of dates." And I told him where, and he says, "I'll be there." And he was.
Wow.
He said, "Dick Clark shows up," and now we're in a car, we're driving around. We get lost because we're talking and not paying attention. And so I'm somewhere in the South, completely lost with Dick Clark, and no way to get out. We finally found a motel. We were okay, but it was actually a scary thing. It was fun at first, and then it turned on us a little bit. It started getting late, and we couldn't find him. Anyhow, it worked out. But Dick was a hard worker and a creative guy. And he was real nice to me. I got to do a lot of stuff for him, and he allowed me to, you know, host a couple of things and be on some things, and I just loved him. And one of the things I loved about him was he was so into what he did. Yeah. He loved the charts. He loved the songs. He loved all of that stuff. He was crazy about it. And he knew a lot of it, you know. He knew what was going on.
Yeah,
I loved Dick Clark, man. He was something else, and really a nice man. And like I said,
I'm sorry,
flew all the way to the South to a date I was playing. He rented a car, and off we went. I don't think we were on the road an hour before we were completely lost, and I still don't know how we did that. But I tell you guys. You know, those things that happen to you two and me as well. Those crazy little things. Never forget them.
What was it like working with Burgess Meredith? Because that must have been special.
Well, one thing that might be interesting to you about Burgess is I've been picked up with him before, like from the airport or whatever, you know. Mm-hmm. And he turns the radio on as soon as he gets in the car to jazz. He only wanted to listen to jazz. Burgess Meredith, and he kept. I didn't mind it because I like jazz, but I remember that about him, and I remember how he could take some script and read it. That something about a mother robin or something from Those Amazing Animals or whatever it was, you know.
Yeah.
But whatever it was, I tell you guys, though, Burgess put it in the pocket. Honest to goodness, that guy was. I don't have to. You probably heard him as he's done a lot of work, and what am I trying to say? Documentary work.
Yeah.
And he is still, but he's dead now probably. But back in that day when I was around, with him, and I got to be in a booth with him and watching him do this stuff, watching him bring these words to life, and I wouldn't take anything for that.
Oh, wow. No, that's incredible. How about your impressions of him? One of the other great quotes that I loved was, "I wish he was my brother." And that was a quote from Tommy Smothers, which I thought was funny as well. But what were your impressions of Tommy and Dick Smothers? That had to be a riot.
Okay. Well, Dickie seems to me, all the time I was around him, he was just a fun-loving guy. He's the guy with the race cars and all that stuff, and he was that was the kind of guy he was. He was a jovial, happy, smiling, fun guy. Tom, not so.
Oh, wow.
Introspective. So Tom could be fun too. He could be a lot of fun, but Tom thought about stuff a lot more than Dickie did. Dickie was, he's the guy with the race cars and he was just having a blast all the time. And,
which is very opposite what you would think, because on their show, Dick was the seemingly older brother, even though he wasn't the older brother, but he had the serious side, and Tommy was always the one goofing off and
yes. Always saying foolish things.
Yeah, always saying the foolish things, which is
well. I have a theory too about Tom. Tom would get more than once. He'd get right up to where he needed to be to go to the next step up, and there were times when he just didn't, and it just didn't interest him like you would expect it to. But remember, I was with Tom way late in his career, way later, and they were winding down on those shows, and so it was really special to be there, extra special to be there.
Oh, sure,
yeah. And here's what I think happened to Tom. Okay, and this is just me talking. It doesn't mean anything. Any of this is even true. It just means that this is what I think. I know that his father finished in the World War II and was coming home and got shot down. So Tommy had to deal with that. Now, this last time that we went on, and I was a writing supervisor, and we did some Smothers stuff and some of my stuff and other people, kind of a variety looking show. And Tom, at some point, saw that it might be doing something, and he just said, "I'm done. I don't want to do this," and
Wow.
And he was done, and he walked away from all of it. It was just that was done, but for the time that I was with them, and got to write some with them and do some TV with them and all of that. They were just wonderful. Two really great guys who loved what they did, and Tom was a little more studious, and Dickie was happy-go-lucky. He's the one with the race cars. Dickie's crazy.
You know what Dickie Smothers' son ended up doing for a career?
What'd you get?
I don't know if I want to say. No, he became a porn actor.
Wow.
Oh, Dickie Jr. Yeah, I know Dickie Jr. I haven't talked to him in ages. Is he still doing that?
Probably not.
I don't know. I don't follow that, but David is he still doing?
But still, hey, listen, it can't help but perk your curiosity. Really, you want to do that?
Absolutely.
Well, my problem is if I did porno, I would starve to death. So I can't do that.
Hey Jim, speaking of walking away, and I don't know if it's a sensitive subject. You can tell me that at all. But the genius of Bobby Gentry, who of course you were married to and had a son with. I have been fascinated with her and her career, her singing, and right at the peak, it seemed she just walked away, which is amazing. Can you give us a little insight on what the relationship did for you and what that meant to you as far as your career, her career,
Yeah.
and just a little bit of that, if it's
Well,
fine to talk.
yeah. Um, what happened was I got hired to be in a show with her in Las Vegas, and so I was, I guess, sort of like the male lead, and she, that type of thing. But it was her show, really, with Bobby Gentry, and so we got to know each other there, and after the run, we just stayed together, and for a while, and wound up getting married and having a boy and all of that. And so that was another one of these, you look back on it and you think, did I see that in a movie or was I there? Holy cow. Because it's hard to believe some of these things.
Yeah.
But
amazing talent, though. She was an amazing talent.
Yeah. She was really a bright woman. Mm-hmm. And she, if she was going to do a movie, like say, not a movie, but say a record, she would try to know what the story was before the song and after the song and all of that. And she wanted to think about all of that so that it felt real to her. That's a lot of extra work, but for her, I think it really paid off.
Right. Yeah, I know. And there was a box set that came out. What was it, last year, David? Was that
a few years ago, actually?
A few years ago.
Yeah.
A wonderful box set on her retrospective of the career and everything.
I honestly didn't know that. I'll have to check that out.
No, it's great.
There was a great box set.
8 CDs.
Yeah, really nice. Do you think there will ever come a day where she comes out and acknowledges that her career and just says hello one more time to her fans, or do you think that ship has sailed?
I'd guess that. That she probably knew the date for a while, and when she got to it, I got a feeling that's I don't think a lot of people could do that.
No,
like I'm still out and doing dates,
mm-hmm.
and I'm over 100. I'm not that old. I'm getting there. I'm definitely getting there.
But you still got it. You still got it, Jim. And I know Kelly had sent me a message. I just want to make sure that everybody understands it's theshepherdofthehills.com. It's scrolling across the bottom of the screen, so it has a THE in front of it. But make sure that theshepherdofthehills.com is where you go.
Well, actually,
for
she's right about that. She wouldn't want us to go into Branson with a dress,
No, she's doing fantastic. But she sent me a message saying, make sure it's theshepherdofthehills.com for your Branson dates. So people are going to look forward to that. That's October. What'd you say? October 6th through the 20th. There's a few dates in there at the Shepherd of the Hills Theater. And real quick, did they demolish your theater in 2021?
Oh yeah. There isn't nothing anywhere that looks like my theater. I don't think. Although if you've seen it, it had a like a guitar neck. It's like a guitar neck, and they've saved some part of it, and I'm going to see it when I go back to Branson and see what it looks like. For whatever reason, somebody wanted to hang on to some kind of piece of it, but it was the thing on the theater was huge. The front of the theater,
the marquee,
that whole piece was a pretty good sized piece.
That must have been a wonderful time, though, all those years in Branson with all the other artists that had theaters. I'm sure you ran into the Osmonds quite a lot.
Oh, everybody was playing Branson. You're totally right, and it was thrilling. And there was something going on all the time.
Yeah.
Did it really
that
feel like
probably was
family?
for 8 to 10 years. It was a nice little chunk in there. When
Did it feel
what
like
happened
family?
is, bam, Branson took off on the national stage because I think it was Mel Tellis that went on 60 Minutes and talked it up, and Branson just took off from that. So Mel Tellis deserves the credit for the Branson boom.
Yeah, and
It
it
was
kind of
just a sleepy little town.
It kind of quietly took off though, because it's a sleepy little town, but you still didn't hear that much about it. But it was always busy. There was just always, you still didn't hear that much about Branson. It was still kind of quiet, but it was
not
always
on the
busy.
national stage.
No, but
You're
people
right.
knew. But people knew to go there for, as David was alluding to. Did it feel like family when you were there? It seemed like it was just it wasn't like Vegas where it was all glitz and glam.
Much more mom and pop.
Yeah,
much more of that.
Yeah. Oh well, what an awesome time! It
was fun though. I got to tell you, I had fun. I had a wonderful time. I'm rock and roll.
Well, Jim, we don't want to keep you all night long, but this has been an absolute thrill, an absolute honor to talk with you, my friend.
Yes, I feel the same.
I mean,
I feel pretty honored to get to talk to you guys. You guys know more about this stuff than I
do. Well, we do our research. Number one, we're fans. Number one, we're big fans. We interview a lot of artists from the 60s and the 70s, and we're fans, and we know about their careers, and we like to get it archived, so to speak, on Material Issues in a lot of the stories and a lot of the fun stuff. And we try to make a different kind of an interview than you'll get on most platforms. So we thank you for doing it. We thank Kelly.
And we always want to make our guests feel comfortable and glad that they did it.
I was quite comfortable with you guys. You're easy to talk to.
Well, we do appreciate it. We wish you the absolute best. I'm going to run that banner one more time. It's going to be theshepherdofthehills.com. Jim Stafford back in Branson, Missouri. And make sure you check out the show.
That ought to do it.
Love to Kelly. Thank you, Kelly, for doing all the work and putting this together. And Mr. Stafford, we wish you nothing but the best health, happiness, and thank you again for doing this.
Thank you, guys. Same to you.
We'll hope you're ready. I'm going to be visiting my daughters in Florida. They're in Windermere, which is a little bit north of you. But if I get back down, I'll stop in and say hi in Florida.
And let me know, Jim. Let me know when you come to Southern California, because you can be my guest, and you won't have to be intimidated by that.
Oh, it's a date. Let's do it.
All right.
You guys, I enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stafford. Take care. Good night.
Okay, guys. Bye-bye.
Oh, that was fun.
There you have it, David Bash. Oh, my gosh. Jim Stafford.
That was great. And, as one of our listeners said, he's definitely still got it. And just a very engaging gentleman. And I just want to apologize for being as tired as I am. I didn't get to say as much as I would normally, because I'm just out of it from the flight this morning. But it was really, really fun and quite an honor to have him. And thank you for procuring that, Mark.
Well, indeed. And we thank everybody for tuning in and asking the questions. Like, we couldn't get them all up on the screen. But Gunther, we thank you very much. I hope you get real lucky to be able to go see him out in Branson in October.
We're just fans, Gunther. That's it.
We're just
fans who asked. I've there have been people who ended up playing in bands with famous people, and I would often ask them, "How did that happen?" They say, "I just asked."
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what you got to. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Right.
If you do ask, you got to be prepared, of course, for some rejection, but occasionally it's going to click like it did here.
And if this is the first time you've stopped in here on Facebook, you can join our group, or you can go over to materialissues.com and subscribe. This is episode number 120. We've got 119 earlier episodes with a lot of iconic guests from the 60s, 70s, even up to 80s, 90s, but you're going to find some of the coolest interviews on the internet. So go to materialissues.com. You see it across the bottom of your screen.
Even some people after 90s.
Yeah, even after 90s.
We've had a few young people on.
And we've had some young people,
but
we appreciate it. And we're just trying to have a good time with these interviews and do it a little bit differently than most. And again, thanks for stopping in. And speaking of shows, what do we got coming up next week, David? I hear is pretty cool.
It's indeed pretty cool. On our episode 11 squared, 121.
Thank you. Very good. 11 squared.
Now, see, that was another reason why I had a bad social life. I was actually really good in math in school. And, if that's, you end up having no friends, believe me. Anyway, next week, as we've been talking about for the past several, we're going to have a very iconic pop music guest, one of the main men of, again, one of the most beloved pop bands of all time, Jellyfish,
yes,
as well as one of the main men of Imperial Drag, TV Eyes, Licorice Quartet.
Thank you, Tim.
And as well as a solo career that is spectacular. We're talking about Roger Joseph Manning Jr.
Yeah.
I've had the privilege of knowing Roger for a long time. He's a great guy. I'm sure he'll be a wonderful interview, and of course, what a talent!
Oh my gosh, yes, it's gonna be great. That's next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard, 3 p.m. Pacific. Materialissues.com. It's going to be a great one.
Yes.
And then we have
October,
a week off.
September 27th. At this point, it's just you and me to coach Chicago. But it may, you never know if we will fill that slot with a guest. But if we don't, again, it's always fun with us. But October 4th, we have a very interesting guest.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, we do primarily music related guests, but sometimes we go a little left of center, and we've got an author on October 4th. But David and I also are baseball fans, and more specifically, the collectible baseball cards and memorabilia and such. But this was an iconic book back in our day, the Great American Baseball Card Flipping, Trading, and Bubblegum book. Brendan Boyd and Fred Harris were the co-authors. We are going to have Mr. Fred Harris, co-author of this wonderful baseball book, joining us live October 4th here on Material Issues. That's going to be another.
And I think we should point out to people who might see baseball as anathema. A lot of musicians do, because they were the ones who were picked last in gym class, and so they hated sports. Yeah, I know who said that. Anyway, it's the Great American Baseball Card is much more of a cultural book than it is a base. It's culture that's reflected in baseball cards and baseball players. But you honestly don't have to be a baseball fan to really appreciate this book. It's much more about kind of growing up in the 50s and early 60s, and just some of the things that were going on. I mean, there's a lot of allusion with an A. There's a whole bunch of analogies and things that are analogous to culture in baseball. So even if you're not a baseball fan, I recommend that you tune in, because you'll find it interesting. It'll be relatable, especially if you're anywhere near our age. It'll be very relatable.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. So we got some cool stuff coming up. We do have irons in the fire as well.
And we also have one pretty much confirmed guest, and this is back to music. It'll be October 25th for us, and October 26th for him. So
how does that work? How does that work?
Yeah, I know it's a weird phenomenon, right? But phenomenon. So again, if you want to talk, since a certain listener of ours tends to think we overuse the word iconic, I'm going to use it again to describe our guest on October 25th/26th. One of the most iconic power pop pop garage artist, all the way from Perth, Australia, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we're talking about Don Mariani, one of the main men of the Stems, the Sun Loves, DM3, also put out a lot of his own records, kind of like the Australian Roger Manning in a way. Yeah. Being a major part of certain bands and having a solo career. I
think this is our first Australian guest, isn't it?
Second. We had Dave Faulkner from Voodoo Gurus.
That's right.
So this is our second Australian guest.
Australia.
And he I mean, if you were a power pop fan in the late 80s, early 90s, you knew who the Stems were, you knew the Some Loves, you knew DM3, particularly DM3. They were like right off the chalkboard power pop. Yeah. I don't think anyone who heard them, there'd be no debate. They are certainly power pop. And, so it'll be great to have Dom on. I've known him for a while, but never really had a conversation with him.
Yep.
So this should be a lot of fun. Yeah, so and again, we have some open dates in between, but we always have irons in the fire. I'm working on I won't say iconic, but I'm working on an iconic soft pop artist from the late 60s. Hopefully we get him.
And I'm working on a laconic artist, because he kind of like, okay, maybe.
I'm very laconic today because I'm slow and even keeled and very tired. So.
But I'll tell you what, we've already got great guests booked.
Yeah,
and we've got great guests working on that are.
Speaking of great guests, come over here, sir.
Me?
Yeah, you.
You talking to me?
That sounds like the boogeyman.
That is one of our former guests, host of Radio New York International. What is it? What's the time on Sunday?
7:30 every other Sunday.
7:30 every other Sunday. You should check it out. He often has some very cool power pop related guests, and he plays amazing music. And if I'm a guest on the show, we do some trivia, which I usually lose at. So.
Hey, Mark.
Occasionally not.
Dave, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you.
Well, I think we're heading out to the Candlelight Inn. If you find yourself in the greater Arlington Metroplex, check out the Candlelight Inn.
Candlelight Inn is a restaurant owned by yet again our host, Alan Pecci. It's got great food, really nice atmosphere, and awesome people running it. So, yeah, we're going to go
I mean, David's always there, and David sitting there. When do I get invited to IPO Arlington so I can be the lap of luxury like you guys?
You have a standing invitation, my friend.
So come on down Friday night.
You can come on now. Just get on a plane and get down here.
All right. See you guys later.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah, hurry up.
Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be funny if I had
that red eye?
That effect that could just come over into your screen right now. No.
You know who used to surprise us a lot with appearing at IPO shows? Sherman Boyne.
Oh, Sherman. Yeah, I haven't seen Sherman in a while.
Ago, he would show up he showed up in Liverpool without telling me. He showed up in Chicago one time without telling me.
Sherman's doing some rehab.
Hopefully
we back it.
He won't be doing that kind of stuff anymore, but back in the day, he used to. So if you show up at IPO Arlington over the next couple of days, I'll be very pleasantly surprised.
Cool.
We'll buy you dinner. Come on down.
Oh, absolutely, we will. I'll even get you into the show. I'll put you on the guest list for the shows.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Good to see you again, Mr. Boogeyman, Radio New York International. Always felt warm and welcome there. Anytime I had my artists up and hanging out with you, always a pleasure. But
Same here.
Always a pleasure. Yeah, indeed. But that's what we got going on, Mr. Bash. Tune in next week, everybody. Materialissues.com.
Roger Joseph Manning Jr.
Roger Joseph Manning Jr.
Iconic pop artist. And he really is. So.
He really is. I know. I love that word, iconic. We're gonna have to use it in
whoever that insolent listener is who criticizes us for that. It's too bad. We're gonna keep saying it.
But hey, David, have a great time at IPO Arlington at Black Box 215. Enjoy everything going on.
We'll definitely have a great time.
It's this weekend. Everybody down in the Arlington area, make sure you go to Black Box 215 IPO Arlington. David will be there. Get a selfie, post it on Material Issues Facebook page, and maybe we'll send you something.
You got it.
David, have a great night. Enjoy the weekend. Be safe, healthy. Love to Arena.
Thank you so much, Mark. You too. Love to Chess.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, everyone.